Hello, everyone. I'm LTJ Reeds, and this is Throwing Light. And if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. Tonight, I've got one of my most favoriteest IMO brothers on, probably my biggest cheerleader, and probably the one that I've spent the time with the most, possibly Mr. Cleveland Leather 2023, Matt Fuerst. But before we get to him, I want to remind everybody that Throwing Light started as a collaboration. It's inspired by Asheville sexual health and wellness. If you want to learn about them, visit ashevilleatx.org. They provide mental health services, and they even have a food bank here in our local Austin community. But you can be anywhere around the world to hop over to ashevilleatx.org to learn about it, and you can even donate. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick it back over to Matt. What's up? How are you?
I'm good, Lewis. How are you doing?
Is it cold in Cleveland right now?
No, it's actually gorgeous in Cleveland. It's like 70 some degrees Fahrenheit. It was like 50, like below 50s a couple days ago. So right now it is very nice out.
All right, so what are the evening temperatures like?
So like right now it's like 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's pretty cool because like all the colors of the leaves are changing. So you're getting these like bright, vibrant reds, yellows, oranges. It actually looks really pretty and it's very nice. It's a good time to go for
Yeah,
after work. So
I don't have that in Texas, unfortunately. I can't relate. But I don't know
but
what
we
we.
also get the snow too, so that's the
Yeah, I
problem.
know.
So
Yeah, that I'm saying like it's winter temperatures though. We don't usually have to deal with that. We've been having to deal with some ice freezes that just started frequenting in February. I think we got past the last one without it. But anyways, enough about weather. It's about you, not the weather. Matt. So, of course, you are one of my International Mr. Leather 2024 IMO Class 46 brothers. We are now, we're in October. We are 5 months out since IML. Um, just before we started recording, you talked about how you're even busier now post Ash Live. Let's talk a little bit about, how you got involved in the leather community and how we got up to this point.
sure. So I guess like my journey through leather um started in 2017. I got my first piece of leather. I bought it from Rough Trade Gear actually. I went to go visit a couple buddies out in LA. And I got this asymmetrical harness. I thought it looked really cool. And my friends were like, hey, we're going to this leather event later today. And you need to wear something leather. So if you don't have something, we're going to go buy something. So I was like, okay. So I went and I bought my first harness. I still wear it to this day, and it's one of my favorite pieces that I've ever bought. So that was kind of my origins into leather. And then from there, I started going to leather events in the Cleveland space. I moved to cities like Pittsburgh, where I started going to some of their events, which were really fun. Pittsburgh has a lot more lax rules as it deals with like naked events and nudity. So I was able to go to some like events like karaoke. You sing while naked and stuff. So that kind of brought me into the space more. And then just kind of kept on going and going more and more events. But yeah, that's how I really started off. Was that first event back in April of 2017 where I went to the Eagle and I wore my first harness. So
I just want to say, when you said the word origins, it made me think of you as a superhero or us as superhero with origin stories, which you
well,
technically
I do like superheroes, but I
you
guess
are a
that was my
super.
origin story there.
Matt actually was a superhero at IML. That was part of one of his aesthetic pieces that he got to wear during his top 20. So now, you and Andy have been up to some things. If y'all remember, I had one of my other brothers on here, Daddy Andy Curtis. What are y'all working on? Why don't we talk about that a little bit? You got some things in the works. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so Andy and I launched a few July 1st, I guess is the start date. We launched our own business called Cleather and Kink, capital CLE for Cleveland, then lowercase ATHER ampersand kink. Um, we have this is kind of like me and Andy's vision for what we kind of had for the Cleveland leather space. Now, I don't mean to say like this is going to be the vision of like Cleveland leather. This is just something that me and Andy wanted to put together as like maybe what leather could be for as we envision things going forward, as there's many different competing, leather groups, And I guess I shouldn't say competing. It's more just like augmenting leather groups that are all throwing their own things, all trying to expand the kink and the fetish space in the Cleveland community. So we launched this as our business. It was kind of our, like, we had a 5-stage plan that we want to kind of launch with. The first is we wanted to host our own uh, our, our own title. So we have the Cleveland Person of Gear title, which we're hoping to launch early next year. We're actually getting quotes on some stoles and some back patches now that we've designed that we're pretty proud of and we're pretty happy with. Next stage was doing our own events, which we actually have already been doing. So every second Saturday of the month, we've been hosting what we call Bare Beats, which is like an underwear dance party at one of the local leather bars. So if you're in the Cleveland area or you're curious, please come out. Second Saturdays of the month, we usually get a pretty good turnout. And then we're going to continue that on with our rest of our 3 phases that we have planned. But yeah, that's some of the things that me and Daddy Andy have been working on that we're pretty proud of, and just trying to take it day by day, increasing the awareness.
If I can be involved in any way to support you, I would love to do that. You were Mr. Cleveland, 2023. Um, what has there, what has been some of the challenges that you've had to face in your transition from being a title holder to now being without a title? Has anything shifted in how you work with people or anything like that?
I mean, I guess that's a good question. I guess like when I won the title, so I was very unknown. Um, uh before I won the title. So not many people knew who I was. So after I won the title, I had to kind of really make all those connections of like, oh, I want to host something at a bar. Who's the person I have to talk to? We want to get DJs. Like, what is the list of DJs that are available that we've used in the past? And when I say you, it just means like people at the bar or other, people that came before me. So Daddy Andy was actually a huge influence on me because he kind of won his title a few like half a year prior than when I did, about like 6, 7 months. So he already kind of had that some of that fleshed out. So that's how we became quick friends. Was that he was a very good mentor to me, and then quickly turned best friend in terms of just helping me out in terms of stuff. So I would say that was something that was like a struggle at the beginning. Um, After that, and after you form the connections, I actually found it very easy um, to kind of. I have a very easygoing personality, right? So for me, it's very simple. I'm not very argumentative, though some people maybe disagree with that, but I'm not. I'm into building up those
I'd be one of those
relationships.
people that disagrees with that. Sorry,
Well,
I'm
just building up
one of
those.
those people that disagrees with that.
I
Continue,
guess in terms of
continue with your
yeah, yeah. I guess
perspective.
in terms of just keeping up those connections, and then obviously just when you're a title holder, I mean, the most important thing you can do is just really talk to the new people in the room, be just a welcoming and friendly face, and that will reflect back on you. That reflects back in your community as well as your title, and it just people want to help you out. People want to help people that they feel good with. So that's what I've literally tried to strive to do. But yeah, so I guess it was, those connections are probably one of the most struggling parts at the beginning. Then once you have them, it really kind of just starts to flow as you kind of move on what you want to do.
You have a very at least definitely towards me, a very selfless, very eager to help. Has that been something that's been taken advantage of in your community work? Your eagerness to want to please the community. Um,
So no,
no,
go ahead. Sorry, finish your
yeah,
question.
no, that's it.
Okay. Um, I mean, sometimes when you're in the box, maybe you don't realize like how the box is being manipulated. So I would say no, as I haven't seen it. I mean, maybe bird's eye view, it looks a little bit different, but I guess don't confuse niceness for being like a pushover or like naive, because I don't think I'm either of those latter two things. So I think I guess I come from a stance of what is good for the community, right? And pretty quickly you can start to distill people who are in it for themselves versus in it for the community. So I just spend less time with people who are in it for themselves and more time with people who are in it for the community. And as you kind of make those choices day in and day out, you just start to gravitate toward people that like wouldn't manipulate you or do anything. But to be honest, I really haven't had many issues, I personally. So I've been pretty lucky that way. So
Fair enough. Each person has a journey. I definitely can say that um, people think that somehow you're going to help them get these other opportunities or something when you're in this position. I had a few situations, or being that my title had, it's technically from the bars. I get a lot of people being like, "Oh, can you get me this, this, and that?" I'm just kind of like, I am the community leader. I do have nothing to do with the business of the Austin Eagle. But I'm trying to get people to understand that this is a community title and you can do whatever you want with it. And if that is Austin representation. Be Austin, you know what I'm saying? Um,
absolutely.
you had the opportunity to make top 20 at IML, which well deserved. I think that you spent a lot of time pepping me up more than I think that. So to see you get that moment, it felt very well deserved. It felt very like just your personality. Like I said, and I don't think you're a pushover at all, and I think that you're assertive. I think that you make yourself available, if people need you. You know what I'm saying? And so I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
you did a great job even during that competition as being a support system for everybody. Making top 20, were you expecting, I'm sure you wanted to do your best, but when you had the opportunity to give your speech, how did you feel in that moment?
No, it's a good question. First of all, I want to say thank you for your comments leading up to this too, from the question too. But um, no, I guess I am so I guess a little bit about me. So I'm a very competitive person by definition. I host like monthly board game nights. Me and Andy do. And I love board games. I love the tacticalness of board games and games and trying to outwit, outplay, outmatch your opponents. And so However, with this leather competition, you can't think of your fellow siblings as like opponents. And I always went in with the mindset that the greatest prize that IML offers is the connections to the people that you make along your journey. And I've literally stuck with that since day one. I mean, I'm pretty like I feel like I'm very good friends with you. I'm very good friends with many, many, many of our siblings. And to be honest, I want to be very good friends with every one of our siblings. It's just I haven't had the opportunity to chat, as much of them as I have seen with you. Um, that being said, in terms of the speech specifically, because that was your question. So for my speech, for those of you who didn't hear it, you can go look it up on Facebook. My speech was about heroes in the community, and I came out with my little Nightwing attire. I had like a little Nightwing mask that was made out of leather. I had a whole outfit that I designed myself, made by Rough Trade Gear, that kind of did the aesthetic of Nightwing, who is my favorite superhero because he has no superpowers and he does things, uh, without the powers and with his quick wits and his intelligence and his niceness to others, as well as having an amazing ass, the best ass in DC. So that is kind of where I came out with it, and I said the thing about the heroes, and I have rewatched that speech. This is going to be like very kind of self-conceited, at least like 20 times. And there's not one thing that I would do different in that speech. I practiced it so much. It was the exact vision I had for that speech, and I was very happy with how it turned out. So yeah, I was very happy with how things fell in the speech. So.
That's phenomenal. That is fantastic. Everything you said was fantastic. For you to, I mean, it's pretty fair to say that we as leather men and women are superheroes without, many of us are. We try to use our quick wit. And I can see the identification with that. And because I do feel a certain way when I have my leather on, but I know like it's kind of like how the Power Rangers could fight with their suits on or not. You know what I'm saying? Like I can fight without it on, but when I do have it on, there's a little bit more empowerment, and a little bit more responsibility for me as a Leatherman when I put it on. But I understand responsibility because I have been fortunate to be a leader. Um, I love that you said that you watch your speech several times, and you said you would. That's a perfect place to be. But in terms of being polished, you killed it. And I think that everyone that got to be on the stage for top 20 were very polished. Um, so, do you think you'll ever do another title?
So this is an interesting question because if I guess if you asked me this a few months ago, I would have said no if it was a leather title. The only title that I kind of want to run for in the future, and I don't think it's going to maybe happen next year, maybe in a couple of years or something, is the International Superhero Fetish title. That's at Darklands. So I would totally run for that title. So
Right on. That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
But like soon or like
Well, I guess like so it's in Darklands is like end of February, beginning of March. I don't know the exact dates for this year. So that may be a little bit too soon for me. So maybe like in a year and a half or like a year and like 5 months, we're looking about it. And then I guess there is one other title that came up. One of my really good friends in the community, he was 81 years old, John Britton. He was our first Mr. Classic leather, and Mr. Classic was a title specifically designed and made for gentlemen over the age of 55 that are in leather. And so it was kind of like this older kind of demographic where the focus is more on like, older in community service of what they've done in the past. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm only 32 now. So maybe in 23 years, I'll run for that one, but we'll see. So
hey, Mr. Classic. I will say that
yeah, yeah.
my feelings about the subject have been back and forth, but
Yeah, tell me. I'm curious.
I will say that I do not feel that my journey with the title is over. You're not going to see me next year, but you can see me return. I think it'd be very likely you'll see me return, but as a more fully realized LTJ Reads. I came into this community very young and was given the awesome opportunity to represent this community as a young person in leather. And with traveling and everything, I did not get the opportunity to develop the aesthetic that I wanted to. And in terms of me doing a leather contest, very likely because I have something to prove to myself. But I'm only going to do something that continues the legacy of the work I'm doing. So it will make sense, whatever I do choose when that time comes. But I need to step out of this and do things for the community without the pressure. And I'm tired of conflicts. Let me just be straight up from you and infighting. And I'm hopefully this is something that I can, kind of bring light to in my step aside speech this weekend. But yeah, it's changed. At first I was going to do the speech that I was going to do at IML, and then it became like, well, I want to show gratitude. And now that this speech isn't really about me that I'm going to give, it's just about the moment. And I need to seize that moment. And I'm going to thank the community very quickly, but get to the work part of it. And we'll see. I'm gonna film it. I'm gonna post it. I'm working on it. I'm gonna have people look at it before I read it. But I'm hoping that I can connect um with everyone there, and show them that I'm very serious in that I believe that the changes that we want to see from people that villainize us, we got to make with the entire community. So until we do that, we're not gonna, you know, I've got people in the community saying we're not ready, for a gender or a sexuality to become president. Like we can't be saying that within our community because then, like my whole speech is about going to be about right now, and that's kind of what I'll be focusing on. I don't want anybody to tell me that I need to wait, or like if we really want to do things that help our community right now. That's what my speech is. It's about right now.
It makes complete sense. And I have two comments to say. One, that's why me and Andy are creating the Cleveland Person of Gear contest, completely gender neutral title. There's only like a very, very, very few that's in Cleveland right now. One of them's a bear title that's gender neutral. So it's like, well, there's also a mama bear. So it makes it confusing that this bear one is gender neutral. So again, me and Andy were trying to think of things that would be very appropriate for that gender neutral moniker. And then also, I just want to say a comment. I am so upset that I can't be there for your step aside speech, or in your like your moment. And I will be honest, my favorite part about going to these contests now that I've been a title holder is not like, the jock strap portion or the speech portion when you get to see all those cute butts and hear the cool things that people say. My favorite part about the contests are the step aside speeches. And the reason that is because these titles change you. You do not need a title to change the community. You do not. I think it's like a misnomer that people have about what the titles represent and what they do. However, they do change you to your core and to your person. And just to see that change within the 1 year's time that people have, like you, I mean, and I've seen you very much throughout the year, and I think I don't want to say the word grown because I think it sounds like a little condescending, but like how much you've evolved, like, and myself too, along that same journey with you. And I just find it fascinating, and just that is my favorite part about any contest is that moment when I'm looking at that step aside and seeing that raw emotion, that raw evolution that they've talked about that they're doing and that they're still going to do is just incredible. So
I know, and I guess it's kind of like coming to that moment, and it's going to be so important for me to kind of summarize the growth. But like everyone sees it. It's like I don't have to focus on that and pointing out what everybody already sees. Like I just want to affirm to the community that I now see what they see, and I don't want to take and I didn't take this for granted. And so I think that's right. This step aside means so much. It means a lot to me. This step aside speech because I want unity to continue, and I want our efforts to continue to include, everyone to keep going. And I just kind of look at me as being the first Mr. Austin Eagle. I am still, I'm a part of the fabric of this community, but I need to show this community still in my next step that we have we have so much territory to conquer. And so I'm going to be very Austin City focused for the next 14 months. So, and using this as an opportunity to get us more exposure, in the city and our news presses, working more diligently to work with other LGBTQI plus venues, continuing to push more for more trans support. So this has given me momentum and been a launch pad for me, and I'm grateful for that. But I like what I was saying earlier is that traveling so much and building this network and being there and being a part is very expensive. And I, in all honesty, with you, had to choose between traveling and leather a lot of the times. And traveling won a lot because I felt at that moment like these connections were going to be so more important than the leather of the moment. If I were to go back to IML again, I will be prepared aesthetically. But that's not the motivation to go back. The motivation for me to go back is continue statewide work here in Texas because I think that we have the power to flip this state blue, and it's so close. And I know we have a big mentor moving away now, and so we don't have that big mentor here in leather. So my goal is to ascend to the person that people want to reach out to when they're looking for help or how to guide themselves. So I'm trying to prepare myself for that maturity and hope that the entire community can look to me to be, one of the most prominent leather voices in our city and state. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
I love it. And I love shout out to the city of Austin because I absolutely love the city of Austin. So my
But
cousin lives there. So yeah.
look, New Orleans was a lot of fun. I think I am so now I'm like almost dead set that I want to have a show deck this weekend because that was a lot of fun, and it was even fun when everybody left. I had that day where I actually could go to the bars because there wasn't $20 covers, and most everyone was gone. It was a good time, and as you can see, like I was back at the room at midnight every night, but like I knew, um,
I had fun. We had fun. I had a good time. It was a fun time.
yeah, but
So
like I wasn't doing crowds. I didn't do crowds. But dude, like that, like everything. I don't know. So I kind of want to make like a show that weekend all the time. I'm definitely going to do it for next year. So, but that was fun in the Louisiana leather contest and everything. It was just that was probably one of my favorite weekends of the year for sure. It's in my top for sure. Top three, probably trips I had this year. And I went a lot of places. And then I don't count like the amount of times I went to Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio on my title year. So I've been around the state a lot. But yeah, I'm glad that I think having you in my life, it makes it easier to step aside and go on because there are people in my life that were in a class together that saw and can see what I'm capable of doing. So I don't have to prove myself. I think that's really ultimately what it comes down to is that this step aside speech, like proven I've proven that I'm trustworthy, and I want to continue. I want the community to continue to trust me and support. A community that makes sense. Like we can't do the same things other people are. We got to make sense. And I will say this, and it's like I don't want to like, but you have been the most supportive brother in our class when it comes to just texting me, checking on me, um, supportive ideas. If I need you to be on something or, checking on me mainly. But, like that's really cool. It's a friendship that I definitely want to think more about, as we move forward and make sure that I'm playing my part in that. But I will say that being in the title and doing all this has been a little bit of tunnel vision. And I'm hoping taking that off, it lets me actually relax and be more of an authentic, Lewis that I can be because to some degree I feel like I'm a little uptight and I don't feel like I'm relaxed. And I think maybe that might be that will help me enjoy these relationships that I have, like yours. Enjoy them and have a good time. There's not going to be any motive or anything like that. But I will tell you, having a title has been very stressful.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. So the obligation that you feel to have to do things and how it's just never enough, no matter how much you do, there's just always more you feel like you can do. It's a weird thing. It's a weird
And it's hard,
dichotomy.
and
So,
it's hard to make everyone happy, obviously, especially when it comes to
yep.
content like that.
But most importantly, sometimes it's hard to make yourself happy. That's like the real
That's
conundrum there. So,
because,
yeah,
like, the thing, I put the community before me for the past 13 months. Like I had to be like, okay, this is important for me to do, but like what? Because I put a lot of things I care about to the side, and now that I have affirmed my presence as leather, I don't need to do like another 13-month boot camp with the title. So that's kind of like a leather boot camp. That's what I feel like I went through. So Matt, we are
yeah.
at the end of the show, and at the end of the show, I ask everybody the same question: is there anything in our community that you feel that we are not shedding enough light on?
Um, I know you asked this, you asked us there before, so I'm gonna choose something different than what I chose last time. But we'll bring it back to like some of the superhero stuff. So I personally think that a greatest superpower that we possess is our kindness to the people around us and our presence in our communities. And never discredit what a warm smile or listening ear can do for someone and use them both often. And I just want to say that.
Well, there you go. You're done. That was 10 seconds. We'll take it. Matt, thank you so much for coming on Throwing Light. We will coordinate. You will gladly, I would love to have you back on here. I am going to continue to champion our class until we get to May. So I'll be doing more IML meetups. Maybe you'll come back for that. I'm sure with you and Andy's work going on right now that you have a lot to offer. But again, thank you so much, Matt. This is an extra special interview. Matt Junley is one of my friends, and
And Lewis, you know I love you. Seriously, I
genuinely
really do. I love you so.
one of my friends. So with that being said, y'all, we are at the end. Thank you, Matt, so much for coming on, and we're going to say this together, Matt. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready? You know what I'm going to do, right?
Uh yes.
You don't know what I'm going to do to your face. You're going, okay, I'm
I'm
going
gonna.
to
You're probably gonna say you're probably gonna say your spiel. Your like your slogan thing, right?
exactly my slogan thing. I'm running for president. Okay, here you go. If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. You ready? On three. You ready?
Yes.
One,
Yes.
two, three. If you're not
If you're
acting
not
right,
throwing, like,
wait, hold on, I messed up.
no, you didn't even
I
know your
messed up.
own
Okay,
thing.
okay, one more time. Okay, one, two, three. If you're not throwing
If
light,
you're not throwing light, you're not
you're not
acting.
acting right. There we go. That's
All
it,
right. There
y'all.
we go.
See y'all later.